Now, members of Parliament will this week begin to deliberate on conditions of service and other emoluments for the President, his Vice, Ministers of State and other Article 71 office holders. The amounts to be paid this category of public officers have already been set out by a committee set up by President Mahama, and the MPs are required to approve it. In the approval or rejection, however, the MPs will be mindful of the fact that President Mahama will be the one to sign off their entitlements. Speaker of Parliament Ododo Jaho told MPs there will be a closed-door session starting Wednesday to deliberate the recommendations of the committee chaired by Professor Dora Francisca Edu Wando and urged the cooperation of the House to fast-track the process.
Having served as a member of this August House for 3 consecutive terms, it is our expectation that His Excellency the President-elect will bring his understanding and wealth of parliamentary experience to bear on his executive office. It is the fervent hope of this House that this will culminate in an epoch of mutual respect and strengthen symbiotic relations between the executive and the legislative organs of state.
MP for Bekwajo Sewusu and his colleague, Ho West MP Emmanuel Bejra, told parliamentary correspondent Elton Brobe the House will push for better conditions for MPs.
So long as the life of Parliament has not ended, any issues before us will be determined in accordance with the rules. So I don't think it's too late. It will be discussed and determined.
So what is next for Parliament to consider what, should be given to the President and the Vice?
Well, the report has been laid. Copies will be made available to members. It will be debated at a closed sitting, and then a decision be taken on the proposals. As it is now, it's a proposal put before Parliament for approval. The proposal will be discussed, and Parliament may approve or disapprove or recommend amendments or otherwise.
But my information is that you are to decide that of the President and the Vice, and the executive also decide what should be given to members of Parliament.
That's right. That's what the Constitution says. So what is before us is the emoluments or gratuity proposed for the President. So it is that which will be discussed and determined.
Every member of Parliament will tell you that what he takes home at the end of the day does not commensurate with whatever work you do. And therefore, I am pleading with the committee that has worked on, if they have not looked at it properly, they should re-look at it before they present it to us. Because I know it will be coming to us for us to discuss first, as we have on the other paper, before we will take care of the executive, and the executive will take care of us. We are hoping that the report will come tomorrow for us to digest it, and then whatever we have in there, we'll all look at it. I believe it's going to be a public information. It's not going to be any private thing. Everybody will know.
Now, the Speaker has meanwhile informed MPs they have up to the 6th of January to vacate the official offices.
Other members, as you may also be aware, the outgoing President, His Excellency Mr. John Dramani Mahama, is also a former member of Ghana's 4th Republican Parliament, a position he held for 3 consecutive terms, just as the President-elect. Indeed, they all entered Parliament in the same year and left in the same year. President John Dramani Mahama's acceptance of the election results declared by the Electoral Commission and his act of personally calling his opponent to concede defeat and to congratulate him, while at the same time appealing to members and supporters of his party to accept the outcome of the elections, is a clear demonstration of his high level of statesmanship.
Now, the issue of handing over notes, which has dogged the presidential transition team, also played out in Parliament on Tuesday. Minority Leader Oseche Mensah-Bonsu had demanded copies of the notes be made available to the House, but the Employment and Labour Relations Minister Harun Idrisu had an answer for him.
Mr. Speaker, the Presidential Transition Act is not superior to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And the Presidential Transition Act cannot oust the provisions of the Constitution of Ghana. The Constitution of Ghana defines the tenure of the president to be 4 years, and therefore government business for 4 years will run and run effectively until the midnight of 6th January 2017. You said between 6th and 7th December. Mr. Speaker, the fact that elections have been conducted does not and cannot shut government business, cannot bring the wheels of government to an end. Handing over notes have formally been handed over and is being transmitted to the appropriate institution. It was done in consultation with the Administrator General, who was apprised of the handing over notes of all ministers. Yesterday, he accordingly handed over now for 39 ministries, with the exception of the Office of Government Machinery. All ministers have handed over formally, and the remittances to Parliament and others will be done and done accordingly.
President John Mahama has charged the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and the National Commission for Civic Education to serve without fear, favor or discrimination the incoming government and the people of Ghana at large. The president was speaking at the Flagstaff House, where he swore in Joseph Whittal as a new Shraj boss and Josephine Nkrumah as head of the NCCE. Here's a report by Gifty Andopia.
Joseph Whittal, before his confirmation, was Deputy Commissioner at Shraj, whereas Josephine Nkrumah was Deputy Chairman in charge of Finance and Administration at the NCCE. President John Mahama led them to take the oaths of office, allegiance and secrecy, which was followed by a charge not to let Ghanaians, including the incoming Akufo-Addo-led government, down.
You must fiercely protect the interests of all Ghanaians without fear of coercion or any form of consideration. Your efforts must contribute significantly to enhance good governance, promote human rights, address cases pertaining to administrative injustice, curb abuse of office, conflict of interest, and corruption as the tranche mandate allows. Please do not let Ghanaians, including myself and my successor or successors, because Ghana will continue to go to elections, successors down. Work with integrity, dignity, professionalism, transparency, and in a non-discriminatory manner.
Underscoring the importance of the two institutions to the country's democratic credentials, President John Mahama singled out the NCCE, saying the institution must be more assertive.
I further expect the NCCE to be more assertive in its work and collaborate with stakeholders not only to deepen discipline in our national life, but also to create greater awareness of the responsibilities required of us as citizens of this great country. As we head into the future, even more will be expected of you. I'm confident you will distinguish yourselves in your new roles.
Speaking for herself and Joseph Whittal, the newly sworn-in NCCE chair highlighted the need for better resourcing of the organizations as well as their abilities to lead, having risen through the ranks of their respective organizations.
In the last 20-odd months, I have served as deputy chair of the NCCE. Undoubtedly, the knowledge of the nuances of our respective institutional mandates enables the continuity of policy for the progress and strengthening of our institutions. We strongly urge our government to improve our resource allocation to strengthen such critical institutions as ours.
Gifty Andopia, Joy News, Flagstaff House. Here on Joy News, right.
Now, the two new heads have meanwhile rejected suggestions the timing of the appointments are questionable. They've been speaking with Gifty Andopia.
I look forward to Nana Akufo-Addo coming in, and we hope to work with him, especially in the implementation of the NACAP, which is currently under implementation by the outgoing administration, and we look forward to working with the MPP.
Right. Yeah. Are you worried about people raising concerns about the timing of your appointment, sir?
Oh, no, not. Why should there be a problem? It's a state function, and the president has the power to appoint right up to the last day he exits. And I feel I've been in this job for a long while, feel competent, I know I can do the work, so why should I really worry? I see it as a call to serve at the higher level, and I welcome it. I see a lot of hard work. A lot of issues, as the president himself spelled out. So much human rights related to development. A number of complex issues are going to come up. And already I'm in it, and I know that I will continue to perform.
Your expectations of the incoming government?
High. Our expectations are high. They've promised us so much, and we are sure that they will live up to it. As an institution, we are there to work for all of Ghana.
Are you concerned that people are raising issues about the timing of this appointment? They're saying because of the transition that we're seeing right now. You worried? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I think I've heard a few things, but honestly speaking, we still have a government in place. The president is still at post, and therefore he hasn't acted outside the confines of his rights or his duties, so I don't really see the problem. More importantly is the fact that what are the two people bringing on board? And I think we're bringing the integrity that Ghanaians expect of us, holding the positions that we do. So we want to assure people that we have the interest of Ghana at heart.
What are some of the real issues that lack of resources have, cost you?
Well, as you know, our mandate is across the nation, and therefore not having the resources that we require means that we are unable to reach as many people as we would like to reach. And going forward, we need to look at ourselves as an institution, do our own internal review, assess our work, and how we can effectively move forward within the constraints of our resources.
They look forward to working with the next government, of course, but then they believe that the controversies regarding the timing of the appointment really is neither here nor there, because there is a government that is still in session. From the Flagstaff House, my name is Gifty Ando Apia for Joy News.
Well, two lawyers have filed a suit challenging the power and authority of the outgoing president to appoint and or confirm the chair of the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice Raj, as well as the National Commission on Civic Education. The writ filed Tuesday by lawyer Philip Addison is in reaction to or follows President John Maham's confirmation of Joseph Whittal and Josephine Nkrumah as chairpersons of SHRAJ and NCC respectively early on Tuesday. The appointment of SHRAJ and NCC bosses have a security of tenure. Lawyer Philip Addison confirmed the suit against the president in an interview with myjoyonline.com. He argued the president, by the letter of the law, may have the power to make appointments until the midnight 6th of January 2017, but in the spirit of the law cannot make an appointment that will tie the hand of the incoming president. He said he will be seeking declarative relief from the court to reverse these appointments by the president. He also accused the outgoing president of abusing his discretionary powers, insisting such actions are unconstitutional. The case will be heard on January 24, 2017. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Please stay tuned. The Senior Staff Association of the Volta River Authority wants urgent action taken to rescue the entity. The staff are especially worried about the authority's $1.2 billion debt they say is gradually sinking it. Some factors contributing to this debt, according to them, include preferential treatments given to independent power producers and short-term debt servicing, among others.
The association is also raising issues of a lack of transparency, especially on how much has been accrued from the energy levy introduced by government some months ago. Outgoing national chairman Winfred Amenu, who disclosed this to Joy News at the association's biennial congress in Akusi, says the future of the company looks bleak if nothing is done about the current status. He is worried, just like other national assets, VRA could collapse if the problems are not solved immediately.
Indeed, we are being the watchdog of policies that militate against the survival of the authority. Let me just cite one example, that we have independent power producers in this country. VRA is saddled or burdened with buying crude oil or gas for such entities, though they appear to be in competition with us. And when it comes to payment for power generated, they are giving preference over VRA, thereby worsening our financial position.
According to Winfred Amenu, there is the need to amend Act 692, which earlier amended portions of Act 46, the original act which sets up VRA. He believes this will boost representation of stakeholders with expertise on VRA board instead of the current trend where individuals loyal to the party of the day get appointment to the board.
We need that amendment to make sure that the original legislation that assigns institutional representation on the VRA board is revived.
Ishmael Ejikumheni of the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment wondered why staff of VRA kept quiet when government brought in Kapa and Ameri. Meanwhile, head of policy unit at ASIP, Ishmael Aka, who represented the executive director, urged VRA to review policies which have contributed to its plight. The Congress elected and sworn in new executives, newly elected national chairman of the Senior Staff Association, Seifas Duse, has issues with what he describes as ECG's inability to pay VRA.
ECG is the main culprit. Their reason for not paying is that government is not paying them, and therefore they are not able to also pay us. The MDAs are not paying.
Kwame Yanke's report for Joy News.
Ghana now has an online passport application system. This means persons who need passports will only be required to show up at the application center at an appointed time to have their biometrics captured. The new system, which was launched by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, is expected to take a maximum of 15 working days to deliver on a passport. There's more in this report.
The new system will offer applicants an opportunity to put in an application via the online portal www.passports.mfa.gov.gh or www.passports.mfa.gov.gh. The applicant will then be required to choose a mode of payment and proceed to fill the form online and finally to the Accra Passport Application Center to capture their biodata on a chosen date for their appointment.
We would look forward to the cooperation of the media in educating and sensitizing the public on the new process for the acquisition of passports in Ghana. And we hope that the Ghanaian public will take advantage of it so that they can reduce the need to engage third parties to the barest minimum. If you have a problem filling an online application, and I know that it's not everybody who is comfortable with technology. Young people are very comfortable with technology. I can imagine that if you are a parent and you're not too keen on, or you're not too sure as to how you are going to do all of this and your typing skills are not great, it doesn't matter, call one of your kids. If they are educated, I'm sure they could do this for you within the shortest possible time.
Our delivery service to cater for the Ghanaian business community and frequent flyers.
Again, while actual processing times will vary for certain cases depending on a range of factors, we are aiming for the following delivery deadline: a maximum of 15 working days for a standard application, but as I said, in our trials, we have seen that we are able to do it in 10, and then a maximum of 5 working days for express applications. In due course, it is anticipated that the ministry would introduce a premium 24-hour passport delivery service to cater for the Ghanaian business community and frequent flyers. And the program will run concurrently with the existing system for a period of 4 months. And I'm talking about the premium passport delivery service.
The online application system forms part of efforts by government to ensure a speedy access to travel documents.
The Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service has warned it will not tolerate commercial drivers flouting directives on the use of bus lanes reserved for the BRT system. Speaking to Joy News after receiving vehicles and communication gadgets to facilitate patrol of terminals of the BRT, the Director General of the MTTD, Patrick Eduse Sapong, says drivers have been given enough education, hence will do whatever it takes to sustain the project.
The highlights
The BRT started commercial operations on December 1, 2016,
without what managers describe as some of the key components to ensure smooth implementation. One of such is police to patrol corridors of the BRT. This is because resources meant for that function were unavailable. Last week, the bus lanes were commissioned after the Ayalolo buses began operations in mixed lanes. In furtherance of its agenda to ensure the smooth running of the BRT system, management has procured pickups, motorbikes and communication gadgets to resource the police MTTD for effective delivery.
The idea is to put enforcement personnel there so that the bus lanes are not violated and the buses have unimpeded access and use of the bus lanes. So to enable us to do that properly, they also have to be resourced so that they can patrol these bus lanes properly and make sure that they are not abused. In addition to the bus lanes, the bus stops themselves too have to be managed well so that we don't have unnecessary obstruction to the bus movements and passengers can board and alight quickly and services can be pleasant. So our main business here today is actually to hand over the resources that the enforcement personnel will use to support the bus operations.
Fly on that route or what exactly?
They are going to be on the corridor to ensure that the bus priority infrastructure is properly used. There are certain lanes which are reserved for the buses. We expect only the buses to use those lanes. There are certain bus stops which have to be shared. The sharing arrangement is known. So they are supposed to supervise our marshals to make sure that we don't have conflicts at the bus stops. And all of this is supported by an enforcement control center, which has been set up at the Amasama, at the Ofanko terminal. It has communication facilities. So in addition to the vehicles, we are also handing over Motorola handsets to be used by the patrolmen as they perform their duties.
The Director General of the MTTD, Mr. Patrick Edusei Sapon, receiving the resources, warned that the MTTD will not tolerate any attempt by commercial drivers to frustrate the implementation.
We are going to make sure that whatever that it takes to sustain the project, we will do it on our part. In the beginning, there are going to be so many challenges. But like we are used to say, unless the first step is made, you wouldn't know what challenges are there. I will plead and entreat drivers especially that we have done a lot of education. So this is not the time that they have to give us many problems. They should, up to about this time, should have understood everything that we have told them. The reserved lanes must be reserved as such. Where we have to share the use of the lanes and the bus stop with them, you will do the best that we can so that we use them comfortable to their satisfaction. But where it has been reserved for the bus, you make sure that no part of it is used by them.
The Ghana Police Service will soon deploy scores of police personnel after launching Operation Father Christmas, a project targeted at ensuring public safety during the Yuletide. Speaking to Joy News on security arrangements for the Christmas and holidays, Superintendent Cephas Arthur revealed that the service will deploy personnel for highway, residential and social sports patrols in order to have an incident-free holiday season.
The highlights of the operations are supposed to be based on the following. 1, highway patrol or roads patrol, mainly to ensure that security is provided on our highways and roads to prevent criminals from attacking travelers who are shuttling between the towns and cities and villages, all for the purposes of the Christmas festivities. 2, we are going to do residential patrol, very intensive residential patrol. This is aimed at warding off criminals who might want to strike people at their homes and plunder or rob them of their valuables. You know, a lot of money and valuables will be in our homes. Even for some of us, our relatives are coming from abroad. So obviously the criminals are also doing intelligence. They know that a lot of money and will be in our homes. So they would want to attack us and take them away from us. 3, we are doing city centers, business districts, shopping malls, market area patrol. We want to saturate our cities with police presence such that wherever you pass, you see police officers. This is aimed at deterring criminals from striking and attacking people who have come to the city centers to do final Xmas shopping. One major point of our operation is traffic management. Traffic management. This is in the days leading up to the Xmas. As you know, traffic to the cities or traffic in the cities and towns is going to be huge. And so we have already deployed our traffic police to ensure that they manage the traffic and ease traffic to enable easy movement. The next one will be about merrymaking joints. Merrymaking joints, nice nightclubs, discos, beaches, restaurants, and other places. You know, these places are going to be thronged by a lot of people because we are in a festive mood. And criminals might want to take advantage of these people who are vulnerable at this time. They are vulnerable to attack them, to rob them. And so police will mingle with them, both in uniform and in mufti, so that we can provide the enabling atmosphere, environment for the people to go about their celebrations in peace. Then one major fulcrum or
Taking a break on Johnny's Prime. When we come, I'll bring you business news. The Ghana Police Service has deployed 170 police peacekeepers from Ghana to South Sudan for a year. The officers were taken through 8 weeks of pre-deployment training conducted by international peacekeeping officials from the United States. Speaking to the contingent hours before their departure for South Sudan on Tuesday, Inspector General of Police John Kudalo explained the call for a second contingent by the United Nations is premised on the performance of the first batch. He admonished the troops to portray Ghana in a positive light while on mission.
We are going as ambassadors of the Ghana Police Service in particular, and the good people of this country in general. Your actions or inactions will not only affect you and the police service, but the Ghana as a country. So your dedication and loyalty to the motherland should be very prime. You all know that until recently, the image of the Ghana Police Service was very low. I would say 45, maximum 50%. But with the zeal, enthusiasm, and professionalism that we showed during these elections, do you know our rating has gone as far as what? A+. That's about 80%. And it is not only in this country and subcontinent, that's West Africa, but in the whole of Africa, we are just as the first 3 police institutions in Africa. That's because of this. And you have set ourselves a very high standard. So none of us will try to bring this standard down, but we try to move up to 90% or above. So go and comport yourselves. You are happy you are going in groups. And this time we have tried as much as possible to make you happy, or to make you happy yourselves. So the police band is part of the contingent that is going. So I'm happy that you have raised the image, and all of you who have come have given it your body and soul. If you want to make a job to succeed and come tops of it, you must give it your body and soul. If you go and make Nipa Nyabua type, you will never go up, you will never succeed. You will rather end up injuring yourselves. Once again, I want to wish you God's blessings, all the best on this mission that you are going. I know you are going to excel more than the others, because the others, they are asking. We may not see you again when you return, but we wish you all the best on your duty tour. Because 1 year is quite a long time, a lot of things can happen under the bridge. But one thing I'm sure that we shall be with you in spirit. Continue praying for you. Once a policeman, always a policeman. And I hope and pray that you come back and we shall be there to welcome you in any capacity, so far as we remain in Ghana when you return. Once again, I wish you all the best. God bless you, and come back in one whole piece and not in pieces. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Thank you.
Now, the just ended general elections in the country has been touted as one of the best in terms of democracy by international observers. For a security analyst and Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Emmanuel Bombande, the peace and maturity exhibited by Ghanaians has put the country on a higher pedestal and would allow Ghanaians to be treated with extra respect anywhere they find themselves. He was speaking at the graduation ceremony of 89 students at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Accra on Tuesday.
Though our credentials were there and we were very well respected and our standing was very high, this successful election has added onto that. And that is why at the political level internationally, at the economic level in terms of our relationships internationally, Ghana would be a net beneficiary because our standing has increased. That anywhere you are in the world, when you arrive in any country and put your passport in front of an immigration officer and they look at your passport, what goes in the mind is the country you come from. And because we are Ghanaians, it doesn't matter who you are more respected highly because of what we are able to achieve, and we should not underrate it. But that does not mean we must not acknowledge the type of things that went wrong after the election and ensure that we never have those experiences anymore.
An alumnus of the center, Esla Wusu, advocated for compulsory security training of all government appointees to enable them better deal with conflict and its related issues.
We prepare for the transition to a new government in a few weeks' time. I will repeat the call I made last year for all policymakers to be introduced to the security challenges which confront us daily. This course, these various courses or variants of it, ought to be required instruction for all policymakers in government and opposition. At the very least, the National Security Advisor or Coordinator, Attorney General, Ministers for Defense, Interior, Local Government, and Foreign Affairs should necessarily pass through these walls either before or shortly after taking up position.
2014 Journalist of the Year Seth Kwame Boateng, who also graduated, hinted he will be producing more documentaries in line with the course he studied at the center.
It's through this course that I was able to do those 2 documentaries, not 3, on Bunkrugu, Brothers at War, Cleansed Land from Nankpanduri, then Bullet or the Skin or the Bullet from Bimbila. I got the knowledge to do that or those documentaries from what I learned here, and it's really opened my eyes to a number of things. How to detect possible conflict areas, conflict analysis, the shadow parties, all those things. It's really helped me, and now I think I've come to appreciate things from the area of conflict, peace and security.
But are we going to see more documentaries in relation to this particular course?
I have a number of documentaries coming up. I'm not eager to mention the names, but a number of things will come up, and I think with this graduation certificate I have in hand, I'm going to do wonders.
Well, congratulations to Seth Kwame Boateng. We're taking a break. We'll bring you international news next. And senior staff of the Volta River Authority have called for urgent action to address the company's indebtedness they say is running it aground. In other news, it's been almost 2 weeks since the December 7 elections, which saw a fiercely fought contest resulting in victory for the New Patriotic Party. The campaigns of the leading parties roped in whoever they thought could play a role, including the wives of the candidates and their running mates, and the following report assesses their contributions.
Are we ready for a new president?
Yes! Rally grounds and political conventions in the past were mostly the preserve of candidates and their running mates who use those platforms to whip their party supporters into a frenzy, all in a bid to get them to go out and vote against their opponents. That took some confidence, boldness, and to some extent, audacity to do. And although their wives were almost always present at such events, many did not come to the podium with their husbands, but rather remained in the rafters watching. However, in the campaign leading up to the 2000 elections, wife of former President Rawlings, Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings, broke away from that norm. She was mostly visible on the platforms of a then party, the NDC.
Believes in people over politics. And this translates into the empowerment of the people, social justice, and integrity in all that we do.
Fast forward, and 16 years later, although not much has changed, it appears the candidates and their running mate spouses in this year's election added their own touch to their husbands' campaigns in one way or the other. Very little was heard of the president's wife, Lordina Mahama, although she was a constant feature at campaign rallies. Although she focused on her Lordina Foundation donating to schools, hospitals, and communities, some have said her efforts have added to her husband's personal accomplishments and attributes.
The government has also started the construction of 200 community-based senior secondary schools to solve the challenges of accessibility and thereby increase enrollment.
Wife of the then NPP candidate Rebecca Akufo-Addo also became visible on the campaign trail this year. However, she mostly restricted her campaigning to markets and communities, propagating her husband's vision in an effort to gain a greater margin of support from women voters.
Change that will completely transform this country. A change that Nana and the MPP have committed themselves to. I know the love my husband has for this country. He has shown this countless times. I stand with my husband. Stand with us. Together we can and we will.
But it was clear between the wives of the two main running mates, Matilda Emisa Arthur and Samira Bawumia, the latter was more active on the campaign trail. And it's not difficult to see why.
I'm not doing politics. I'm the wife of the vice president. I'm not a politician, if you understand me. And those in Ghana who know me know that I can never be a politician. In fact, my children say I can never be a politician because, one, I don't lie. Because, two, I call a spade. Because, three, I'm politically incorrect.
Her counterpart, Samira Bawumia, however, stepped out of her comfort zone and became popular for her jabs, similar to that of her husband's, at the Mahama administration.
We will remember 8 years of corruption.
Thank you.
We will remember Wyoming. We will remember Sada. We will remember Suba. We will remember Bas Brandon.
Opinions may be divided over what contributions spouses of the candidates and their running mates made to their party's campaign. But the question is, going forward, will voters begin to attach as much importance to the presidential candidate spouses as they do the candidates?
Now, scientists have found cocoa and 2 other plants common in Ghana can cure malaria. Findings on the efficacy of the cash crop as well as avocado or pear and tridex, commonly known as coat buttons, are published in the Journal of Parasitology Research and Journal of Herbal Medicine. Kwesi Debra reports.
The use of herbal preparations for preventing and curing diseases is as old as the universe, but many are skeptical about its efficacy because, one, it is not backed by research, and two, there isn't any standardization, so many are afraid of overdose.
Research shows various parts of the 3 plants have for many years been used in herbal preparations for medicinal purposes. Leaves of tridax or coat buttons, also known among accounts as tractahoma, have effectively been used over the years to cure boils. Coughs, dysentery, high blood pressure can easily be managed with avocado leaves. Herbalists swear on cocoa leaves and beans to give relief for digestive discomfort and chest pains. A new study by international researchers, including the Ghanaian, confirms all three plant leaves are very effective for treating malaria. For the study, the scientists boiled 100 grams of each plant material in 2 liters of water for 30 minutes as herbalists do. Dr. Gustav Komlaga of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is a lead researcher.
These are used by various people to treat malaria. But the point is, do these plants actually have malaria activity? Do they actually treat malaria? So that is why I am back on that research to find out if they work against the parasite that cause malaria. And the findings were quite interesting, like I said already. It proved that they all show some activity or effect on the parasite that cause malaria, though to different extents.
Dr. Komlaga says extracts, in addition to cocoa powder, are highly effective against even chloroquine-resistant parasites. He, however, urges caution in the use of tridax because high doses of it can be toxic. He suggests standardization and formulation of the three plant extracts into cheaper alternatives to existing malaria drugs. For Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Authorities at the Mainsha Palace have released the detailed program for the burial of the late Asante Hema Nana Efia Kobisewa Ampem II, who passed away last month. A statement signed by Chief of Staff Kofi Bedu says the late Queen Mother will be laid in state from midnight of Monday, January 16, to the forenoon of Thursday, January 19, 2017. Asante Henio Tumforte Tutu II will also sit in state from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. to receive homage from sympathizers. According to the statement, the body of the late Queen Mother will be conveyed to the Bantama Royal Mausoleum for the final public traditional rites and wreath laying, and then to the Breman Mausoleum for the private interment. Mr. Kobibedu tells Love News any information related to the funeral will be communicated in due course.
Of January, there will be a traditional vigil, but that will be a private vigil, midnight. The body will be open to the public, laid in state for public homage from the morning of the 16th of January. It will remain in state until the 19th of January. On the 4 days, on each of the 4 days, His Majesty Otunfo said to will sit in state from 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning till 5 p.m. in the afternoon to receive homage from sympathizers, from dignitaries from all over the world. The afternoon of the 19th of January, the body will be moved to the St. Cyprian's Anglican Cathedral in Kumasi.
All right, up next we bring you entertainment.